Every day, we communicate through stories. Stories of ourselves, our challenges, our goals, our experiences, and our aspirations. Storytelling is an art that we have mastered. WESN Film Studios comprises a collaborative team of experts with extensive industry experience locally, regionally, and internationally. The ability of your business to successfully communicate with your preferred audience depends on the strength of the stories you tell. Your vision should be communicated in a high-quality, professional, and creative way. From concept to post-production, advertising to film, multi-camera productions, live events, streaming, and virtual conferencing, we are WESN Film Studio. Let your own unique voice be heard and your vision realized. Call us today at 628-5835 for your next production.
WESN.
Good morning, welcome to AM Prime on WESN. I am Takia Thompson, and we're going to jump right into this morning's conversation. Cuba is strongly condemning a new executive order signed by U.S. President Donald Trump, which declares a national emergency and allows the United States to impose tariffs on countries that supply oil to Cuba. Havana says the move amounts to a total fuel backload and a dangerous escalation of the decades-long economic embargo. At the same time, Cuba is reaffirming that it condemns terrorism, rejects allegations that it imposes a security threat to the U.S., and says it remains willing to cooperate on counterterrorism, money laundering, and regional security. So what does this mean for the Cuban people? How serious is this escalation, and where does the Caribbean stand? Joining us this morning, I'm here with Ambassador Gustavo Beliz Olivares, and David Abdullah is joining us via Zoom. Good morning, gentlemen.
Good morning, good morning, good morning. Thank you for the invitation and for this great opportunity once again to say something about this complicated situation that today we have in our country.
Absolutely. So jumping right into it, how is this executive order different from the previous sanctions?
This is a good question. It's not different. It's different in terms that it's worse, of course. No, you can figure out that we are on the 21st century, and we don't have, according to this order, we don't have any possibility to receive an oil or to have our own energy as part of our daily life in Cuba. Of course, that means that this affects very strong, more than previous one, the daily life in our country. That means that this can stop it, I don't know, healthcare system, school, daily life in general. Of course, we try to avoid that happen with our own process intern in Cuba, but this is very complicated because this is the most powerful country, and Cuba don't have enough energy resource in this case.
Right. So, as you mentioned how it affects in the healthcare and in schools, what is the pulse on the ground in Cuba currently?
we continue that because I have to say that Cuba, as you know, live or developed under the same situation more than 60 years. Now, of course, worse, but Cuba is a resilient country. Cuba only think or is pretty sure that we will win. This is our conception, and we try to going forward. Actually, we try to, for example, today in Cuba, to try to develop accelerated development with our modest resource, the renewable energy, for example, meaning that Cuba is don't stop never in face of United States policy, but of course affect because we maintain, for example, health care, but maybe or maybe no, we adopt a reorganization in terms of the people will have take care, for example, in house, following that the Cuban doctor in the neighborhood. We continue because we will continue until we win. This is our conception, but of course affected very strong our daily life in Cuba.
Absolutely. So, as a representative for Cuba in Trinidad, how do you feel about our government's position where the U.S., referencing the U.S., Venezuela, and CARICOM?
Yeah, as representative of the diplomatic representative in Trinidad and Tobago, in this case, actually, this is not my first post at the Caribbean, meaning that I know a little about the Caribbean. This is my first time in the Caribbean. First of all, I'm pretty proud about representative my government, Cuban government in the Caribbean regions. This is by first. As you know, Trinidad and Tobago was one of the first countries that in 1962 that established the relationship with Cuba, diplomatic relationship with Cuba, on the at that time breaking the isolation around Cuba. More or less similar situation, now it's worse. I'm pretty sure, I believe, or I hope that those continue, that relationship will continue. So far, Cuba offer our willingness that the intelligence will first of all that analysis about the importance of the relationship we will keep. So far, as I said before, our willingness to continue, I can confirm.
Right, understood. I agree. Mr. Abdullah, you're joining us here on Zoom, but as a Trinidad national, is there a right or wrong given your philosophical position as a comrade in arms with nations like Venezuela and Cuba?
Yes, good morning. Thanks for having me. My apologies for not being in studio with the Ambassador. Ambassador, very good morning, and good morning to all who are tuned in. Before I deal with that question, I think we have to understand the philosophy and the objectives of the blockade, which was, excuse me, established more than 60 years ago by the United States against Cuba. So I want to quote from the 1916 memorandum issued by the Deputy Assistant Secretary of State of the U.S., Lester Mallory, and I'm quoting, "The only foreseeable means of alienating internal support from the government in Cuba is through disenchantment and disaffection based on economic dissatisfaction and hardship. Every possible means should be undertaken promptly to weaken the economic life, denying money and supplies to Cuba, to decrease monetary and real wages, to bring about hunger, desperation, and overthrow of the government." End of quote. So the blockade was always intended to try to create in Cuba enough dissatisfaction that the Cuban people would, try to get rid of the government, change their government. And the strategy was hunger, to create hunger and desperation. Now that is a crime in my view against humanity. That's the first point. The second point is that this blockade is illegal and illegitimate. The only legal sanctions or blockades of this that can be imposed are those that are approved by the United Nations Security Council. That is international law, international norms. So what the US has been doing for more than 60 years is really a total flagrant violation of the United Nations and of international law. But the US does it because they are bully and they believe that might is right. And at the UN General Assembly, every year for the last, I think, close to 30 years, Cuba has brought a resolution calling on the General Assembly to vote in support of its call, as Cuba's call, for the US to end the blockade. And that resolution has been overwhelmingly supported by the countries of the world. And in fact, on some occasions, you only get 4 countries voting against: United States, Israel, and maybe 2 or 3 others. Trinidad and Tobago, together with all the CARICOM countries, has historically voted in support of the resolution calling for the end of the blockade. So that's where we need to start from. So it's not necessarily my ideological position, which I do have, or the relationship that the Movement for Social Justice has with the Communist Party of Cuba, which we do have. That's not what is the fundamental issue. The fundamental question or issue is that this is an illegal, illegitimate blockade. It has been condemned by the vast majority of countries of the world, yet the United States continues. And as for the blockade of fuel, which is the most recent thing that the United States has done, that is a crime against humanity. How can you deprive? Just imagine, Ms. Thompson, in Trinidad and Tobago, we had no fuel to power our electrical generating plants, and so we had huge rolling blackouts. Just imagine that we had a huge shortage of gasoline, so that people can't get to work, buses can't run because there's a shortage of diesel, trucks can't move goods and so on from the port to supermarkets and so on. Just think about that. Farmers can't move their produce to the market. That is a reality. Schools can't operate because there's no internet because the electricity is down. We have to think about it. The garbage trucks can't roll because they don't have diesel, because there's no fuel coming into the country. That is what the United States is doing to Cuba. That is a crime against humanity. The United Nations Secretary General has spoken out against it. And starting out with 8, and now 3 others joined. So 11 former heads of government have signed on to a position calling on the United States to end the blockade. Regrettably, the Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago attacked those former prime ministers, and I did a major statement, which I haven't released to the press in a written form because it's very long, but I did a live on Facebook yesterday, which has been viewed by, I think, more than 2,000 people already, and I'll share it with the media. But we broke down Mrs. Prasad-Visessa's statement part by part by part to show why that statement is really historically, politically, and factually incorrect.
Yes, so while you were talking, the question came, what can we do differently?
You mean in Trinidad and Tobago?
In Trinidad and Tobago?
No, I think that the best suggestion or the best, according to my best knowledge, Cuba and Trinidad and Tobago and Cuba and CARICOM countries should continue to have a diplomatic and close relationship. We have several options to develop the relationship. Up to now, for example, we have in different countries or in all CARICOM countries, Cuba was present through, for example, medical health care. That today Marco Rubio say that he avoid and he make a campaign direct against the president of Cuban doctors around the Caribbean. But according to my best knowledge or my interpretation, my recommendation or I hope is that Cuba and the Caribbean countries as part of the same regions. Cuba is not member of the CARICOM, but no problem, no? We have a close relationship. We are neighbors. We have to feel like a family, each other, because we have several options to develop the relationship. Supporting, for example, an international organization like Mr. Abdullah said, Trinidad and Tobago and all the Caribbean countries up to now, up today, or to this point, supported a Cuban resolution against the blockade, meaning we appreciate the position of Trinidad and Tobago and Caribbean countries calling lifting of the blockade against Cuba. I'm pretty sure that we have to continue that way, despite United States policy. I think, and I have to stay clear that Donald Trump is wrong. It's a criminal policy against Cuba, will affect not only Cuba, will affect all the Caribbean countries. I'm pretty sure because it's the history behind. And Marco Rubio is wrong. They lie. Marco Rubio never visited Cuba. Marco Rubio is not Cuban. I mean, he was born in the United States. Their parents left Cuba before the revolution. Maybe they left because Batista dictatorship, but not for Fidel Castro. That was quite before Cuban revolution. Today stay several lives to try to demonstrate that Cuba is a threat for the United States. I have a smile, you know. How is possible that a small country like Cuba will be threat in relation to the most powerful countries around the world? This is, you know, that's not saying. This is an argument that they lie, that they're using, and they, among the other lies, to try to demonstrate that Cuba is a threat for the national security of the United States. I'm pretty sure, or I hope, that the relationship between Cuba and Trinidad and Tobago will continue to development. That's why I hear like a diplomat.
Understood and agreed. So with that, when you said it and Mr. Abdullah said with the humanitarian deterioration, what can you tell us are some of the safeguards being put in place to prevent these things in Cuba right now? Sorry,
what are we doing?
Yeah.
No, of course, as I said before, we try to develop with our own resource. Of course, our resources are limited, of course, no? But we try to develop, as I say, with our own resource. We continue the program to increase the renewable energy source. By the end of February, for example, we at this point now installed 98 more megawatts in photovoltaic park. By the end of March, we already plan to install another, or to add another 58 megawatts. And you know, others, for example, additional 5,000 photovoltaic systems are being installed already in Cuba, meaning that we try to get our own way. By the way, this is not the first time, now worse, but this is not the first time that Cuba is on that situation.
Right.
During the 90s year after Soviet Union system broke, or you know,
yes.
And in relation with the United States, more than 60 years, we have this situation. Of course, now it's war, but I have to say, for example, that between February 2024 and March 2025, the blockade cost to Cuba $7.5 billion. US, 7.5 billion. This is not, you know, for every economy, even Cuba, Trinidad and Tobago, this is a quite big loss.
Yeah.
But our resilience will win.
Absolutely. Mr. Abdullah, so as you pointed out the different risks and that it's just not human to do this, would you say, can you share a little bit more on the collective response and how we can bring more awareness to what's happening?
Well, yes, thank you. And this program helps to do that, of course. And, you know, there are many activities all over the world. In fact, you know, if you pay attention to some of what is happening internationally, people are doing things all over the world to assist Cuba. We have on Sunday coming, and I shared a flyer with you by email. I'm not sure if you can put it up, but we are having, great, thank you very much. We are having a public forum on Sunday coming, the 1st of March at 3 p.m. in the afternoon, physically at the Oil Workers Trade Union Port of Spain office, which is on Henry Street, just above Oxford Street. And this is in defense of Cuba. Now, there's some interesting dates that we want to commemorate. The 24th of February is the anniversary of the 1895, or the launch of the 1895 War of Independence by the Cuban national hero, Jose Marti, together with General Maximo Gomez. And that was a very important war of independence. And so, you know, we're having it not on the 24th, because there's a week a day and traffic and school and all those things. So we're having this activity on Sunday afternoon. In addition to that, this is the centennial year of the birth of Fidel Castro. And so we are honoring Fidel in this regard. And speaking will be our ambassador from Cuba to Trinidad and Tobago, who is with you, with us this morning. We also will have a short film about Fidel. And then we have two friends of mine. One is Jamaican, Professor Malimo Horace Campbell. Now, Horace Campbell I first met when I was a student at the University of the West Indies in St. Augustine in the mid-1970s. He was a lecturer in government and politics here. He's Jamaican, but has worked and taught extensively in Africa, in Tanzania, Uganda, and so on, and is currently based in the United States. He's part of a global Pan-African movement, and is a renowned scholar. He's a good friend of Walter Rodney, and is a renowned scholar, and so on. So he's going to be part of the discussion, because, you know, Cuba did a whole lot for Africa. Apartheid would not have ended when it did if Cuba had not sent troops to Angola to fight the South African army, and defeated the South African army, actually, in the famous Battle of Quito Carnival. And that precipitated the end of the apartheid regime, and of course, the release of Nelson Mandela. It also secured the independence of Angola, Mozambique, Zimbabwe, and it also resulted eventually in the independence from colonial rule of Namibia. So Cuba has done a whole lot for Africa. They sent medical professionals to West Africa when there was the outbreak of the Ebola virus, when very few people wanted to deal with it. Cuba sent its medical professionals to deal with the Ebola virus, and so much more. So Horace is going to be speaking on Sunday. And then another good friend of mine, Dr. James Early, who was a former senior person at the Smithsonian Institute. He's a member of the U.S. chapter of Artists and Intellectuals for Humanity. He just came back from Cuba about 2 weeks ago, and he has been a regular visitor in solidarity visits to Cuba. So we're going to get a perspective from Dr. James Early. And this public rally is being co-hosted by a number of civil society organizations, social movements here in Trinidad and Tobago, the Wahoo community of San Fernando, the Network of NGOs for the Advancement of Women, the Caribbean Freedom Project, the Emancipation Support Committee, all marchers of Rastafari, the Joint Trade Union Movement, and I'm sure I'm missing out one or two, the MSJ, of course. So this is, oh right, yes, the New National Vision, the Black Agenda Project, led by Dr. David Mohammed. So this is a coming together of organizations here in Trinidad and Tobago to express our solidarity, but also to, as you said, share information. And on that day, we are going to launch a campaign here in Trinidad and Tobago to get humanitarian support We haven't worked out the details, but we'll announce it on Sunday so that citizens here can contribute to Cuba and therefore to return what Cuba has done for us, not only in terms of the medical health professionals that we have here, but, we celebrate Keyshawn Walcott. When he won his gold medal at the Olympics in 2012, the first time that a non-white person won the javelin event at an Olympics. As majors, after Keyshawn's victory, we have had people from Africa, from the Caribbean, from Grenada, from India, and so on, doing very well in the international javelin. Keyshawn broke that ceiling. Who was he coached by? He was coached by a Cuban coach, Brother Mustafa, I think is his name. And so we owe Cuba just in that simple way, but in so many other ways. And this is one way in which we can return their help and solidarity to us. And we'll be making that announcement on Sunday afternoon. But we invite people to come out because we learn firsthand about what is happening and what people elsewhere in the world and what we can do to support Cuba in their time of difficulty as we demand the end of the blockade. And we'll be sending a letter because I also serve on the Regional Executive Committee of the Assembly of Caribbean Peoples. And we met on Friday last, and we'll be issuing today an open letter to the heads of CARICOM in advance of their meeting this week in St. Kitts, calling on them to not back away from the principal position of the end of the blockade and other acts of solidarity by CARICOM with Cuba. So that open letter will go out, and of course we'll share it with the media as well.
Thank you for the information. And as we continue to go along with the flow, if you were granted a wish for tomorrow that could somehow make a difference, what would that wish be?
Sorry, which different with?
So if you were granted a wish on how things can change for tomorrow, what would that wish look like and how would it affect everything?
In Cuba?
Yeah, for Cuba, yes.
No, in Cuba, if I clearly understood, in Cuba, this policy or this position of United States, of course, affect our life and affect, by the way, very strong effect.
Right.
But I back to my previous conversation that we are here and we are looking to increase and to make deeper the relationship with the Caribbean. We need and we consider that we each other have to accompany each other. I mean, Cuba and Trinidad and Tobago and all the Caribbean countries. If I clearly understood your question, is a mistake think for everyone mistake think that Cuba and Trinidad and Tobago can be separate. This is a big mistake that the history will be sometime demonstrate if that can be the decision. Is we hear that Marco Rubio said affected will be Cuba and Trinidad and Tobago in the future. I pretty sure, or my hope that, as I say, we have to make a deeper relationship. For example, in terms of Cuban Medical Brigade, we have Cuban Medical Brigade here. If I respect, of course, the decision of every country in Trinidad and Tobago, in the Caribbean, no? But if you need tomorrow continue or extend this Cuban medical cooperation, of course we have. Actually, I already officially proposed the authority here the option to, if you consider that you need the option to offer our support in terms of health care. But in general, of course, we are strong affected by this policy. Yeah. United States don't right to maintain this policy, and I also want to express my appreciation to all these organizations, Mr. David Abdullah, and all those organizations, all those people that understand in Trinidad and Tobago that Cuba and Trinidad and Tobago have to be in the same way.
Yes.
my appreciation.
Mr. Abdullah, along the same lines of the ambassador, how would you answer the question, your wish, if you were granted for tomorrow, what is the difference that you'd like to see with it?
Right, I suppose I might, if I could get two wishes, only one. The major one, of course, is that the U.S. changes its position, but that is, might be said wishful thinking, given what Trump and Rubio are trying to do. So more realistically, my wish is that the CARICOM meeting this week, that CARICOM leaders take a very firm, united position in support of their historical, as the ambassador said, their historical relationship with Cuba, going back to 1972, when Trinidad and Tobago, Jamaica, Guyana, Barbados, 4 newly independent countries, very small, were the first in this hemisphere, apart from Mexico, to break the diplomatic isolation of Cuba. We recognized Cuba. 4 small countries in the Caribbean did that in the face of what the U.S. was doing. So we were not afraid of what the U.S. position was. We took a position on the basis of principle. And we have consistently done that as CARICOM, and I would hope that those CARICOM leaders have the courage of their conviction to say to the United States, listen, you have your position, on, as you did on apartheid, because the US under Reagan and the UK under Thatcher supported the apartheid regime in South Africa. CARICOM countries opposed that. So we were not afraid to stand up on the basis of what is right, and on the basis of principle, to tell the US and big powers where we stand and that we don't agree with you. And I certainly hope that in the case of this CARICOM meeting this week, that CARICOM takes a very strong position, and what the ordinary people of the Caribbean now need to do is to tell our leaders that this is the position they must take. Yes? Mrs. Prasad-Bissessar, in her comments last week to the Express and so on, talked about Cuba being communist and a dictatorship, etc., etc. But in 2011, there was a summit of CARICOM Cuba, which is held every 2 years. It was held in Trinidad and Tobago in 2011, December, which commemorates the day on which, in 1972, CARICOM countries established diplomatic relations with Cuba. And Mrs. Prasad-Bissessar hosted the president of Cuba at the time, Army General Raul Castro, at that summit. And I was a senator, so I was aware of part of the People's Partnership. We were all there at the airport welcoming him when he arrived. There was a lot of rain that day, so it was problematic. The greeting kind of fell apart because of the rain, but we were there. She hosted a reception at the diplomatic center and so on, and I met him there, and there was a private dinner at the Prime Minister's residence in St. Anne's, which I also attended, by the way, for President Castro. Fidel himself came to Trinidad twice. Once in 1994 or 95 for the summit of the Association of Caribbean States. He stayed at the Hilton, and myself and a number of officers of the Oil Peace Workers Trade Union led by Aaron McLeod at the time, we met Fidel at the Hilton, and so on. So he was here, and he came when Dr. Eric Williams was Prime Minister. He was passing through Trinidad en route to somewhere else, and he actually went up to Mount St. Benedict because he thought that the northern range and the Mount St. Benedict looked like the mountains of the Sierra Maestra, which are the mountains in Cuba where Fidel started the armed struggle, which eventually led to the overthrow of the Batista dictatorship and the coming of the revolution in January '59. So yes, the ambassador is right. There's been a very long, very positive relationship between Trinidad and Tobago and Cuba. Many young people here who went on scholarship to Cuba. We have medical doctors in our healthcare system who studied in Cuba based on scholarships that Cuba offered. We have people who are engineers and economists and architects and people who are trained in IT and in the curation of museums and so on, who all got their tertiary education in Cuba. And we owe Cuba a debt, and we hope to extend that solidarity on Sunday afternoon at ODBQ at 3 million Paul Spain at 3 o'clock. And I think I omitted to say that the Joint Trade Union Movement is also a co-host of this event on Sunday.
Thank you for that. And as we close, or we tend to wrap up this conversation for this morning, any final words you'd like to leave with our viewers and lookers this morning, so we can have the ambassador first, and Mr. Abdullah, you can go after with your final words.
No, in my final words for this moment. I will coming back every time if you're invited. No, first of all, my appreciation to the channel, Mr. Darren Lee, your boss, and your crew here for this opportunity. Cuba is a country strong blockaded. Every opportunity that we have to say Cuba is here with the best willingness to continue the relation, to increase the relationship, please, I take this opportunity in defend my country and in defend the independence of Caribbean countries. This is my conception. My conception, which is different to conception of Donald Trump and Marco Rubio, of course, no? Of course. And I also have to reiterate my appreciation for all those people here in Trinidad and Tobago that accompany Cuba during the years. Yourself this morning, but all the organization and all those people that Mr. David Abdullah mentioning. Thanks God that we have several people, inclusive here in Trinidad and Tobago, that understand that Cuba is right. And finally, to the government, to the old people here, I would like to say that Cuba is interesting and Cuba believes in the relationship with, in this case, with Trinidad and Tobago.
Thank you. Mr. Abdullah?
Yes, thank you. You know, we have to call things out as they are, and so what Trump and Rubio are doing is part of an imperialist and colonial agenda. They really want to control this whole hemisphere in order to get the wealth and resources of our region and our labor, exploit our labor to enrich themselves. And we must call it out as it is. It's an old, and it's part of white supremacist rule in the United States right now. That is what is taking place. And, you know, we have to also dismiss the kind of propaganda that is used against Cuba, that it's not democratic and so on. I don't have time to go into that. Perhaps we'll have another discussion on that. But I asked people to look at the MSJ Facebook page because I dealt with that in great detail. So, you know, people say that Cuba is a dictatorship. Fidel Castro said, you know, something very important. He said a revolution, I'm quoting him now, a revolution can only be born from culture and ideas. Our experience showed us the importance of ideas, believing in man and women, the importance of treating the people, of trusting the people. This is extremely important when humankind is facing such complicated and difficult times. US imperialism was unable to defeat a united people, a people armed with just ideas, a people endowed with a great political consciousness, because that is most important for us. We have resisted everything and are ready to continue resisting for as long as need be, thanks to the seeds planted through those decades, thanks to the ideas and the consciousness developed during that time. And then to quote Jose Marti, the Cuban national hero, trenches of ideas are worth more than trenches of stones. The Cuban Revolution has survived because of trenches of ideas, because of the consciousness of people, not because there's any dictatorship in Cuba. And Cuba has a democracy that is far more participatory than Trinidad and Tobago, but I don't have time to go into that. So we stand in solidarity with the people of Cuba. Thank you.
Thank you so much, gentlemen. And this is clearly a developing situation with implications beyond Cuba's borders. So we just thank you, the ambassador, and thank you, Mr. Abdul, for joining us this morning to bring awareness and to share on the seriousness of the matter that is happening right now. Guys, we still have more conversations coming up, but don't go anywhere as we take a short break.
all comes down to this. From the prelims up to the quarterfinals, 8 judges have sat in these chairs and 10 contestants have stood on the other side of this mic. Tonight, we're up to the semi-final round and down to our 6 top scoring stars and a new 3-piece panel of judges. Tonight, you'll see and be the judge of performances by the 6 contestants who have made it to the semis. That's right, you get to vote. So log on and get in on the act at coverstar.live. This is Coverstar, where music history meets its next voice.
Don't stop.
Knowing how to tell authentic is as easy as 1, 2, 3. Find it, match it, search it. Step 1. Find the style number on the tag. Step 2. Match the style number inside the jersey with the number on the tag. Step 3. Search it. A quick Google search of the style number will verify the jersey is authentic when the search results match the jersey being searched. Don't be fooled by counterfeit jerseys. Before you buy, remember to find it, match it, search it.
Fan Zone, 2 locations nationwide. Center City Mall, Chaguanas and Movietown, Port of Spain. Nationwide delivery available.
This is 10 questions. I'm Andy Johnson. The distance from where we should be in the world in going forward on our commitments with climate change.
The effects of climate change that cannot be accounted for. It's called loss and damage, and we're seeing loss and damage happening so much more in this decade and the previous decade.
The principal term there was this question of the correspondent banking issues.
That is why we're trying to build capacity with this country here, Trinidad and Tobago, and other countries in the region.
Man is not showing any signs of stopping or even slowing down. More than half of the forest in Trinidad is already gone.
All the plants and all the animals and all of the nice clean water and fresh air and everything had to be on this planet for humanity to have a chance.
We have small change when it comes to countries that can take decisions, and when they speak, the world listens.
The General Assembly is a very democratic forum. And Trinidad and Tobago has the same vote as Canada, in spite of the obvious difference in size.
Pastor J, I want to get a tattoo.
You really
respond to me. Respond to me how you would respond to me.
The first question I'll ask is why?
Controversial taboo topics.
We get so consumed by church, we forget that we have to live the life of being a Christian outside of the Sunday.
Like you say,
services.
we think going to a service makes us a Christian.
Exactly.
Yeah. Right. So here we are about to hear the second time Pastor J wanted to take a tattoo.
Would have been late last year and early this year.
Oh gosh.
Hope Unfiltered podcast with Pastor J and Ren.
Our award-winning show is back, and this season promises to be even more exciting than before. What's Up, Doc isn't just a title. It's a call to action for anyone who wants to improve their health and well-being. Join us on this thrilling ride towards better health on WESN Content Capital.
This is Face of Sports, WESN Content Capital. How you felt about the kiss on the lip?
That's the business. I'm nothing to do with that.
I find that was distasteful.
The national senior team, whether you like it or not, that is the model for all other teams to follow.
I'm assuming that the regional requirement may be a much stricter requirement.
This is not about Pro League and Super League. This is a league run by the Normalization Committee that I'm responsible for.
Nobody expected FIFA to fund this arrangement.
If we
don't get a professional attitude towards this, we are doomed for failure.
You break the balance, trip the leg, control the body.
They ain't gonna stand put forever.
Why you want the Chiefs to lose so? Why you want the Chiefs to lose so?
They already have two. Lamar don't
Why?
have.
You're jealous because you know the Chiefs getting closer to the Patriots. Let's go to the last part.
No,
of the game.
no.
Let's go to the last part.
However, we are here and we're jumping straight into our first conversation of the morning. Yes. And this is she is a powerhouse in Caribbean business innovation. She's a founder and chief disruption officer of Zoma Business Solutions and the visionary behind Big Women, Big Moves. This is a bold, curated program designed to empower and elevate female-owned and female-led businesses across the region. Now, this program, or this initiative, has been gaining a lot of attention. So today we're going to give space to the woman who brought the vision to life, and that is Miss Rhonda Maria Glynn. Good morning, Rhonda, and welcome to AM Prime.
Good morning.
Hi, good morning. Good morning and welcome. Thank you for the opportunity.
Of course.
Let me do a slight correction.
Yes, I'm going to ask you.
It's Bold Woman, Big Moves.
Bold Woman, Big Moves.
That's it.
Ah, okay. I'll make that. Thank you so much for that correction. Then also, your name, is it Mariah or Maria?
Maria.
Maria.
Oh,
okay. All right. Well, thanks so much, Miss Rhonda. Now, jumping straight into the conversation, for those hearing about this initiative for the first time, Bold Women, Big Moves, tell us, what is it at its core, and why did you feel that this program was necessary in the Caribbean business space today?
Thank you. Well, female entrepreneurship is my passion. I'm a business strategist that works primarily with female-owned businesses and women-owned startups. Female entrepreneurship is part of our shared Caribbean narrative. We've always had people in the Caribbean who have always worked outside of the home or inside of the home. But what has happened, it is what is referred to as scarcity entrepreneurship. What I have been doing for the past 7 years is moving women from scarcity entrepreneurship to opportunities for them to build, scale, and grow successful businesses using data, process, and systems. I come from a background in aviation where that is part of the course. So I literally used my 30 years of experience in that industry and use it to build women within the Caribbean region and even beyond. So that's part of it.
Mm-hmm. Now,
the other part of it is the funding, but we'll get into that.
Right. Now take us back to the moment where this idea was born.
Yes.
What gap were you seeing that made you say it's time for something to change, something new to happen, and then this became your initiative?
Okay, so in my second year of my doctoral program, because I'm doing a doctorate of business administration, I was exposed to a module called Global Entrepreneurship, and that's where I had the light bulb moment. I said to myself, this model can actually work very successfully in the Caribbean. And that was my first initiative. But over the past year, especially after the pandemic, I realized that the issue is also funding. And the data is out there and it's very convincing that in the Caribbean, especially in Trinidad and Tobago, 30% of new businesses are being started by women. However, funding is less than 1.3%. And it goes back to our conversation about money We have never been taught the language of money. We have never been made to understand that money is a language, just like French, just like Spanish, just like any other language. And I have now moved into helping women become fundable. And that is where the Bold Women Big Moves has come about. It's literally a clarion call to women to get out of your own way and acquire the knowledge that you do not have. Don't let it be shrouded in shame or fear, because unless you can value your business, you don't know how much money to ask for. And you will get whatever the investor or the funder decides to give you, because women are still considered high risk, even though 65% of households in the Caribbean are women headed.
Nice. So what I want to know is, what has this journey taught you about being a leader yourself?
Okay. I tell people that I knew who I wanted to be when I was 8 years old. And it took me 50 years to become that person. And I am as much part of that Bold Woman Big Move story, because I went back to school when I was 40 years old. Wow. Prior to 40, I had 4 O-levels. I worked in the aviation industry. I was an industry professional, but I still had 4 O-levels. And when I was 40 years old, I went back to school. By the time I was 50, I had 3 degrees. At 55, I started this consultancy firm, this business strategist firm that I own today. And today I am completing a Doctor of Business Administration. If I had not made a bold move in my own life, I would have been 60 years with 4 O-levels. So I tell women, I'm not just talking it, I'm not preaching to them. I have lived it. These are the pathways to success. This is my experience. This can happen for anyone.
Wow. Now, the program was recently featured in the media alongside various collaborators. Now, how important is it to you that the public understands this true vision behind the leadership behind Bold Women, Big Moves? And then also, I do want to get into the importance of the collaborations for the initiative.
Okay, so as you rightly said, there was an article in the Women Wise Guardian where there has been a collaboration between myself and a number of very brilliant women under the auspices of the Guild. Collaboration is important because everybody brings another skill set to the table, and I have always been about community building. For female entrepreneurs, we have, as women, let's just move the entrepreneurship off the table for a second. As women, we have been conditioned to compete with each other and not to collaborate. We've all heard women say, I can't trust another woman. But I am saying, I am putting forward the thought that only a woman knows what another woman is experiencing. Because remember, we have to be a lot of people. We have to be caregivers, we have to be mothers, we have to be corporate people, and we also have to be entrepreneurs. So in the sandwich generation, which is what it's referred to, the burden of responsibility falls primarily on women. So the collaborative aspect helps women to move forward faster, because, and I got this from my aviation experience, because there's always something that somebody has that you need, and there's always something that you have that somebody needs. So you build relationships before you need them. And that is why the Guild became very important as a way forward, where women would support women who want to move further faster.
Look at Bold Women, Big Moves. What makes this initiative different from other spaces or from other typical conference or networking events where, you know, they create spaces of empowerment for women? What makes this different?
Because it's not a talk show. It's not a motivational platform. It is actually giving women actionable skills. As I said, I come from aviation. My background is primarily in aviation. We give people the why, not the how. The how is procedural. The how always can be adjusted to prevailing conditions. The why is what helps people to make the leap between theoretical thinking and taking action. Bold action is needed because women are, especially Caribbean women, they are very resilient, they are very enduring, they've had to be very strong. As I said before, 65% of the women in the Caribbean, 65% of the households are female-headed. However, it is our default setting. Women need to be seen, heard, and valued. Women need to take up space, and that requires bold initiatives. So I am not just about talk. I am not just about motivation. I am saying this is what you want to do because you're not just building a business, you're building a life. And success requires that you become a person worthy of success. So I can talk all the talk, but if I give you the tools, you have something to move forward with. And this is where the bold action is required. Not procrastinating, not saying, well, I can do this, but maybe next year. Or I can do this, but I don't have enough money, or I don't have enough connections, or I don't have a big enough network. I am saying, we are saying in the Guild, and I am saying with my company and with the Bold Women Big Moves, we are saying, here's what. We are going to meet you where you are, and in a community, you will build and you'll get confidence because confidence is a muscle. And confidence is only built by moving in the direction of success.
Okay. So with you saying that, I just want to know what's next for Bold Women Big Moves.
Okay, so we have a number of things happening. We have the Power Circle where women meet once a month. It's a hub where we allow women, because I can create anything and say, look, this is it, this is the package. What we've been doing is actually asking women, what do you need? What is the major challenges that you are having? And in that sisterhood, and we have made space for men as well. In that sisterhood, we are saying, these are the challenges that you're having. Let us sit down and find a way forward. So that's one. The second thing, I'm collaborating with another entrepreneur, female entrepreneur, Trinidadian born, based in India, and we're doing an initiative called the Year of Done, where one single goal is chosen for an entire year. We meet once a month, and it's also another collaborative space where women from the United States, women from India, women from Israel, women from Swaziland, from Africa, from South Africa, and Trinidad and Tobago, and Jamaica have decided that they will come together and be one another's accountability partner. I'm running that program with a Trinidadian born who has lived in Israel for over 20 years, Risa Gooding. So that's number two. And the third and biggest thing that we're doing out of the Bold Women Big Moves is called the Fundable Lab. So we're moving the need for funding one step forward. And in April, we're doing a 2-day workshop where it's not a talk shop, it's a workshop. I'm collaborating with investors, financial educators, and we are actually going to roll up our sleeves and get things done and create 30, 60, and 90-day initiatives to help women to value their business, to hear the language that investors want to hear, and to actually pitch, because there's a lot of grants, there's a lot of VC funding that is out there, but a lot of it is being gate-kept because women do not know how to speak that language. And I think that it is time for women to move the needle one step forward, because again, what you don't know will hurt you. Because remember, you're a woman, but you're also the owner of a business, and that is what the Fundable Lab is about.
Right. Now, Ron, I see you have, there's a few things coming up that I'm sure will be very beneficial to a lot of your participants and a lot of women. But what are some of the real outcomes and or even opportunities that women can expect who decide to join in, who decide to participate, beyond just inspiration?
No, we are not a motivational incubator. What we are is an actionable incubator. We give women actionable tools. It's quite okay to talk. Again, women need tools because if there is a 93 million US dollar gap in funding in an area of 40 million people, which is the Caribbean, and Trinidad 1.4 million, it means that there are women who will never break even. The 3 to 5 year gap is the break-even gap, where you move from ideation to prototype to offer to actually breaking even when you're going to pure profit. We have to move women-owned businesses from hustle to sustainability. Now, which woman would not want to realize her ambition of building a business that could actually fund her lifestyle, build legacy, and generate wealth? This is what women actually want.
Right. So, Rhonda, just to break it down a bit more, who is the woman in mind? Who is the woman that you had in mind when you created this program? Who should be paying attention right now?
The startup companies do not have enough money. They are bootstrapping. So that's one category. And it comes a time when you have to scale your business and you have to look for investor money. Remember, I talked about the 3 to 5 year gap, where if you do not break even at that point in time, most businesses die at that point in time. And most of these women with very brilliant ideas go back to working for somebody. So that is one category of woman. Then there's the second category of woman who is past that but wants to scale. Again, that woman has to look for money outside of her operating money, her profit money. Because in order for you to go to the next stage, you're going to need investor money. So those are the first and second stage women that I am really targeting. Because what women do not know about money ultimately hurts them. And in the investor and lending community, women are still seen as high risk. We have to get real with the fact that we do not know a lot about money. And we come into business, and this is really important. And if there's one thing I want to leave with people today to consider, the fact that women also, there's a lot of trauma around money and women. And when they start businesses, that trauma bleeds into their offers, it bleeds into their pricing, it bleeds into their strategy, it bleeds into actually placing value on their processes. It bleeds into creating dashboards and knowing what is their revenue and what works and what does not work. And coming, as I said before, coming from a background of data system and processes, this is what I am saying to women. Let us sit together. Let us figure out what do you want out of this business, and perhaps this is the way forward. Because who wants to start a business that is not going to be successful?
Right. Okay. Now, to get a practical idea of this, I saw you have, as part of your core initiatives for the Bold Women Big Moves, there's something called a power circle. Can you get into that a bit and just explain what exactly is the power circle?
The power circle is by invitation only. And I'll be quite honest with you, it is not for everybody. It is for the women who are fed up of being fed up. So we meet once a month, it's by invitation only. And those women get together in a very empowering space and we talk about the challenges that we are all experiencing. We help each other. There are women of varying skills. You would notice that the women in the guild came out of the power circle. This is where women start to talk in a very safe space about the things that challenge them most of all. Because as I said, entrepreneurship, when people start to lose money in entrepreneurship, there's a lot of shame attached to it. Just last night, I was listening to a podcast where Mel Robbins said that she lost over $800,000 and her house was being mortgaged while she was trying to build a business at the same time. And those are real stories. But most of the time, social media makes women believe that they have to hide their failures and only the highlight reels. Inside of the power circle is where we start to talk about what are the troubles, what are the challenges. And out of the power circle, there are collaborations that happen right inside that room. A woman may be good at social media. Another woman might be good at public speaking. Another woman might be good at filming. These women are able to both gain business within the circle and be a voice that will speak about these women's talents in rooms that they do not have access to. So that is what the power circle is about. We've done 3 power circles and we have another one which is going to be a breakfast in February. All these things are leading to what will be a bold woman, big move hub, where it's a subscription model where women will get not only help, but in some cases, there will be a community of funding. So let us say in the subscription model, women will be asked to contribute to a consolidated fund that will be given to women who have an idea, have a prototype, and don't have any money at all to move forward. So it's an ecosystem of women helping women.
I gotcha. That really puts it into perspective. When it comes to the power circle, you mentioned that it's by invite only. So how do you get an invite into the power circle?
There's a wait list. So what we usually do is my website, I have a landing page. I did the landing page last night for the one in February. There's a wait list, and the wait list, I usually market it on all the platforms because I'm very strong on LinkedIn. And the wait list goes out like 2 or 3 weeks before. There's a questionnaire attached to the wait list. So we verify that these women are really needing this safe space that we're going to offer them, and they're making a commitment to be real inside of the space, because we protect what they say. What happens inside the circle remains inside of the circle. And from there, closer to the date, invitations are given out. We made a decision that there are 2 things that people don't know about the power circle, and I can share it today. It's free. People don't have to pay to get into the power circle. It's covered by the people within the organizing committee. But what happens is that we are taking care of you. You are making a decision to get out of fed up life. We are here to catch you. And that's what the power circle is about.
Nice, lovely. So sharing or continuing on that same line, you mentioned an initiative that's going to happen in April for women looking on. How do they get to be a part of this?
Okay, so we have 2 things. We are going to have another wait list because, again, it's 2 days. It's going to be on a weekend. It will take a commitment. It is really for women who are ready to do the work. In my experience, it is easier to reach people who are fed up of themselves. The thing about it is that when it launches, it will launch via a cocktail party in March, where we will, because we started to talk about it already. However, there will be another benefit inside of that workshop, in that we are going to offer 5 scholarships to women also, in that there will be 2 fully funded, 3 partially funded. Our intention is not to gatekeep. Our intention is not to make price or cost a barrier to women who really need help. So the Fundable Lab will have workbooks, breakout rooms, people who are in the business, investors who are in the business, and we guarantee early wins. And there will be 30, 60, and 90-day strategies for women who actually want to get out of the hustle. And that's what the Fundable Lab is all about. And funnily enough, the Power Circle is what guided us and guided me to say, you know what, the number one challenge that women are actually having, despite what we say, is funding. How can I create something? How can I create a tool that will help these women to access money and, more importantly, to be able to talk about money? Because here's what investors want to know. They want to know, one, what are you going to do with their money? And two, how are they going to get it back? The aspect of storytelling is, although we're Caribbean people, we do not understand how important telling your story using numbers is important to the funders, to the investors. They want to know what has been your experience using data. And data is a thing that we're still very skeptical about, but in a digital landscape, in a growing community that is global, we need to acquire those skills in order to become competitive.
Now, as you mentioned, these investors, are the investors persons that you would have already partnered with before these events or before you bring it forth to these women at these various events to be introduced to, etc.? How exactly does it work?
Okay, so one of the things I'm really good at, and this is no humble brag, is my ability to network. So I've worked with a lot of the people some of these investors. I've done LinkedIn Lives. One of the people I've worked with is a woman by the name of Aisha Akers, who is a financial educator. I'm also bringing someone on board, which is Kishel Davis. She is a master trainer with Hello 7. She's out of the Bahamas, and she is really good at these sort of events because she's hosted them on her own. And we have a surprise investor coming out of Lloyd's of London, who's also a female investor. I also participated in the Global Entrepreneur Program run by Cornell University of New York, and I also created relationships there. And some of those investors will be coming on board to either online, because there's an online component of this workshop, either in person or via Zoom, just like what we're doing this morning.
I also saw there's an aspect called the blog. Can we talk about that for a bit?
Well, I write for Substack, I write for my LinkedIn newsletter, and I also have a blog that is attached to my website. So in that, because I'm totally focused on female founders and women-owned startups. So we talk about mindset, we talk about money, and I have a 4-part series that has started. There's a blog right now on my website that talks about busy but blind. Women who are busy, booked, tired, and don't know where their money is going. So what I have done is created not just video content. I have created long and short content. I have a YouTube channel, and I give women the opportunity to have this conversation at every forum. And this is why I am building all of this, all the blogs and everything else is leading towards the Power Circle, is leading towards the offers that I do via my company, because I do one-on-one coaching, and I also have a subscription model there as well. But it also is leading women directly into the Fundable Lab.
Nice, lovely. So you're known as the Chief Disruption Officer at Zuma Business Solutions. So what does being a disruptor mean in your field of work?
I got the reputation of being a disruptor when I was a training officer in aviation. I had a mentor who used to say, Rhonda, I can't carry you to those meetings. You're going to ask all the hard questions. I am saying that I have always had a vision for my life, that I wanted a life that was big. And even when it wasn't immediately visible, I was willing to take a chance on myself. Think about it for a second. How many women you know will go back to school at 40?
Not a lot. Yeah,
I worked and went to school. I worked and went to school. I was working 7 to 3, going to school in the evening. I studied from one degree to the next for 9 years straight without a break. It takes a certain mindset. You get strong by going in the direction of the life that you actually want. And this is what disruption is about. Disruption is not to accept the status quo. I took early retirement, and I was like 3 months away from my very next promotion. And I realized that I already had a business, and it was difficult for me to go to work and have this business running at the same time when my heart was really in my business. So I literally called my boss and said, you know what? I've had enough. I think I need to finish my doctorate and not sit on the ledge and go into business full time. And at 55, I became a late stage entrepreneur. So I have always been disruptive. So I'm just taking my life lessons, formulating them into a business model and saying, women, listen, this is something that you can do. The trick in the thing is to decide what you want and then get out of your way. Because the universe is never on a budget.
And I get that. I truly get that. Now, Rhonda, for women who are watching today, watching right now, and they are interested, they want to know more about this initiative, they want to join this initiative, how can they go about doing so?
Okay, so my website is www.rondaglynn.com. Easy, easy. On my website, you will see my introductory video. You'll see all the offers. You will see the landing page for the year of done. You can click on the link and it'll carry straight to the registration link. You'll also see the landing page for Power Circle, and we're having a power breakfast in February rather than an evening event. Most of the time we do evening events. We're having a breakfast this time. You can also register there. As soon as you click on any of the links, it will carry you to the registration page. So it's very, very easy for you to take advantage of it. What I am saying to you is that let 2026 be the year that you take preemptive action. I am not offering you perfection. I am not offering you an easy lift. But I am saying to you that if you invest in that dream just a little bit, just for 1 second, think about where your life would be in December of 2026. Why not bet on yourself? And we are saying, women, come to the table. And in this table, we will build together, not separately, not distrusting women, not competing with each other, but collaborating. Because, as I said, the Caribbean is replete with strong, powerful, brilliant, literate women, and we really need to start to show up for each other.
You also mentioned a little while ago about subscriptions. So can persons be met with a subscription when going to the website?
There is a subscription model in the website, but for the moment, we would like women to come to the table via the Power Circle. Because here's the thing. I have offers that I can sell to people, and I have no problem with that. Because, as I said, there will be challenges within the Power Circle that will be addressed via one-on-one coaching, workshops, what the other things that the website has to offer. But I am saying in the initial stages, I would like women to come in comfortably, that there's no pressure to sell them something, and then we will take it from there. Because most of the time, it's a hard sell, and then they feel betrayed, and they become very skeptical. I am saying, don't just trust me. Don't just trust what I am saying. The last Power Circle we had, we had a featured speaker, Andrea Bernard, who at 31 has lived in over 20 countries. And she shared her experience of being a digital nomad. I want to bring as many women to the table as possible so that they will see what is possible, why it is important to get into a circle that empowers you. Because success is really found within communities, and as women, that's the one thing that we have never been taught how to build relationships. Promotions are in relationships. Upward mobility is in relationships. More deals are cut in salons or on the golf course than in any conference room. I have worked in a service industry for 30 years, and I know relationships are built before you need them. So rather than to hard sell someone and say, you know what, I can offer you my one-on-one coaching, yes, of course I can. But what I am saying is come in, be skeptical, test the hypothesis, see if what we are saying makes sense to you, and see if it is a fit for you. And I can almost guarantee it's a fit for you, because it's not just about me selling or offering something. It is a cadre, a cohort of women who have made a conscious decision to move forward.
Awesome.
And that's it.
Yeah, thank you so much, Rhonda. I actually went on to the website, and it's pretty easy to navigate through. So
I was built by a woman.
Honestly, it is incredibly
It was built
done.
by a woman. It was built by a woman, a Trinidadian woman based in New York.
Yes.
I work in the small business community, so I give the small business community all my business.
No, it honestly is incredibly done. I love the layout. It's easy to access. So if you are interested, the website is www.rhondaglenn.com. Very easy to remember. And once you go on it, you can see on the first page, you see the book now option, and I believe that is for the Power Circle.
Yeah.
Or that would be for the Power Circle, right?
The book now option is for a free consult that I offer people. But if you go further down, if you navigate further down, you will see the Power Circle landing page, and you'll also see the Year of Done landing page. Because on the first page, there's a menu down to the bottom, and you'll see everything. All the links are clickable.
Yeah, and then you also see a bunch of testimonials and more about the entire initiative. This is incredible. Rhonda, thank you so much for joining us this morning, for reclaiming this space for women and allowing this to be a space where women can rise, once again, comfortably and be empowered. We're always looking for spaces like this. So thank you so much for your time, for doing this, and for coming on this morning. And we do hope to see more of you in future as you roll out your initiatives and your events. All right.
Thank you so much.
It was a pleasure. Do enjoy the rest of your day.
Same here.
All right, so we are going to take a quick break now. I just once again want to thank Miss Rhonda Maria Glenn, for coming on this morning and sharing that. Again, if you are interested and this is something that you, it resonated with you and is something that you want to learn more about or be a part of, if you are a business owner yourself or a woman starting up or wanting to start up even, you can check out Rhonda's website for more information. That is www.rhondaglenn.com. And everything is there. As I said, I went on and I saw it's easy to navigate. So if you're not tech savvy like me, because I'm definitely not, it's very easy to work through, and everything is listed, everything is named, and you can read up. There are the testimonials, and you can find whatever you're looking for. So definitely check it out. Even if you're not sure, if you're unsure as to what it is still, then we did not do a good job, but but I think we did. So definitely look at it and see if this is something that will work for you. Yeah. So we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we have some updates for you to share with you. So stay with us. We'll be right back.
all comes down to this. From the prelims up to the quarterfinals, 8 judges have sat in these chairs and 10 contestants have stood on the other side of this mic. Tonight, we're up to the semi-final round and down to our 6 top scoring stars and a new 3-piece panel of judges. Tonight, you'll see and be the judge of performances by the 6 contestants who have made it to the semis. That's right, you get to vote. So log on and get in on the act at coverstar.live. This is Coverstar, where music history meets its next voice.
Don't stop.
Maybe he landed here totally by coincidence. But if by chance he's admiring your fresh coat of Benjamin Moore soft sky blue, well, that's a pretty high compliment. Coming from an expert.
Knowing how to tell authentic is as easy as 1, 2, 3. Find it, match it, search it. Step 1. Find the style number on the tag. Step 2. Match the style number inside the jersey with the number on the tag. Step 3. Search it. A quick Google search of the style number will verify the jersey is authentic when the search results match the jersey being searched. Don't be fooled by counterfeit jerseys. Before you buy, remember to find it, match it, search it.
Fan Zone, 2 locations nationwide. Center City Mall, Chaguanas and Movietown, Port of Spain. Nationwide delivery available.
As we come to an end to this morning's program, we extend a sincere thanks to the Ambassador of Cuba, Mr. Gustavo Beliz Olivares, and Mr. David Abdullah, joining us and contributing to such an important conversation. He did mention the forum that's happening this Sunday, the 1st of March, in defense of Cuba. It is going to be from 3 p.m. to 5 p.m. and it's held at the Out2 Port of Spain building, Henry Street. So all are invited to attend. We also want to say thank you to Rhonda Glenn for sharing and giving insights more on that topic. And before we go, here's your quote of the day. Small conversations can spark big change. Never underestimate the power of showing up. Let that be a reminder that dialogue matters, and so does staying informed. Stay connected, stay engaged, and we'll see you back here tomorrow morning.
WESN.
Maybe he landed here totally by coincidence. But if by chance he's admiring your fresh coat of Benjamin Moore soft sky blue, well, that's a pretty high compliment. Coming from an expert.